Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Discuss Detroit, one that I am very excited about. I am your hostess, Jeanette Pierce, Director of the City Institute and founder at Detroit Experience Factory. And this is a short series on conversations with Detroiters and community leaders and local residents about the city that we love. And I am so excited to be joined today by Regina and Campbell, the newest CEO and president of Build Institute, which is one of our most favorite nonprofits in Detroit. And we're going to learn about their work as well. Hi, Regina. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jeanette. Thank you for having me. Hey, everybody. Good to be here in Detroit.
And so, I mean, it's been all over Facebook and the news this week. You know, everybody I know that heard that you were taking over for the awesome April Boyle was just so excited to have one awesome woman pass the baton to another awesome woman. But bonus is that we get you back in Detroit because you are currently in Memphis, right?
Yes. Memphis, Tennessee.
So that is just another, when you left a few years ago, I was like, oh, so sad, Miss Regina. Obviously, you've been doing great work in Memphis, but we are very excited to have you back. So why don't you actually start by telling us a little bit about yourself, or what we call your 2-minute life story.
Okay, so my 2-minute life story in all of 2 minutes. So as you know, Jeanette, I am a native Detroiter, born and raised here, and I am, I like to say, a mother and a wife, which is also two important roles that I have. And I had an opportunity to become a Memphian for 2 years, 9 months, which has been tremendously exciting. And so I consider Memphis also home. It's where I had an opportunity to do some tremendous work. I like to think of myself as a visionary collaborator. I love entrepreneurship. I love small businesses and community because that's where, from my perspective, revitalization happens. I like to even talk about a little bit about how people reference me in regards to my cultural experiences too. You know, I love urban cities a lot like you, and Jeanette, you know, I passionately call you Mrs. Detroit. I've been watching cities, Black cities in particular, since I was a child. And so the urban planning and economic development background I have has lended me ways to be able to do work with in Memphis and in Detroit, which is majority minority cities. And I love working with minority and women-owned businesses. So to keep it short and brief, as a human being, I consider myself a cultural advocate and economic developer who loves to engage in helping businesses launch and shopping as a customer. So I'm looking forward to helping other businesses launch ideas and helping our Build grads continue to grow and scale their companies. And so I'm a city girl. I'm a down-to-earth person, and so a lot of times right now you won't see a lot of me as we move forward because it'll be all about our entrepreneurs and the amazing team at Build. So I thank you today for this conversation.
I remember when we got to know each other a little better was a trip to the Mackinac Policy Conference a few years ago. I don't. Probably 5. How long have you been in Memphis now?
2 years, 9 months. Woohoo.
Okay. Maybe it was like 3 or 4 years ago. And we drove up together, right? With was Greg Donnelly. Greg Donnelly. Yeah. But you know, some of the best parts about the Mackinac Policy Conference were the trips up and back, right? Over the years, I've gotten to drive up and carpool with different folks, and I remember we just had such a great conversation. And then finding out that you also had an appreciation for good tequila was an extra special connection point that we had, you know, did try out there at on the island at Mackinac. And I just, you know, we kind of clicked. I mean, we kind of knew each other around, but you know, when you just, again, kindred spirits, right? When you just know, and then the East Side, which you were on at the time, and your kids were at St. Clair of Montefalco, which is where I actually went to school. So many great connection points there. So talk to us a little bit about Memphis, your work in Memphis. What made you take that leap, and what have you been doing there? What is that organization that us here in Detroit might not know anything about?
So Epicenter Memphis is actually the entrepreneurial hub for the Memphis region, and it really is much like the New Economy Initiative. You know, New Economy Initiative can be applauded and continue to be celebrated for building a Detroit ecosystem, and so Epicenter is that for the region. So Leslie Lynn Smith, who many people in Detroit know, who was the past CEO at TechTown, she invited me to join her to build that entrepreneurial movement in Memphis. And so who could say no to that? I am one who loves and enjoys big, bold, daring, risk, let's figure it out, innovation. And so it was definitely a yes, but first I had to get permission from Terrence. Once he said, my husband, once he said he was good to go, it was on and popping. So my role there was a chief program officer, and basically did a lot of things with national, regional, and local partners to help bring resources into system for our Memphis region. Everything from capital programs to technical resource programs for entrepreneurs, and working with an amazing high performing team to build and design programs where there were gaps. And it's been quite an exciting time. I can't believe it had been 2 years, 9 months since moving to Memphis. And during this time, of course, I've had a chance to be on a number of different boards to really get immersed in community. I, like you, Jeanette, care deeply about community and where we are. And so when we sort of take off our work hats, we are deeply immersed in community. So here I've been on boards that support women, particularly the YWCA. I care deeply about women and families. And then also Leadership Memphis, like I did Leadership Detroit, I did Leadership Memphis. And so the programming element, I also help support in that. And then finally, literacy in community. That was actually the first board I joined because, again, I care about community, I care about knowledge, I care about learning, and literacy is one of the most important things. So Memphis has really allowed me to sit in, I would say, the C-suite at an executive level to manage, leverage, bring in, support our CEO with national resources and relationship. But one thing I want to mention that is close to my heart here, and I hope there's opportunity to do some things in Detroit, is the 800 initiative. And why that is so important is it is something that the Mayor Strickland here launched. He was very concerned about the access or support for Black-owned businesses to scale, particularly with procurement. And so Epicenter was able to work with the mayor, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and the Office of Procurement, as well as a Christian Brothers University and Starco, which is very much like in a Techstars place, to build a program that would support Black businesses being able to scale. With a number of different resources, capital, we had Capital Stack and programs where Kresge supported, Kaufman supported, and FedEx. So for me, that was really a highlight in that there was corporate, there was, you know, the public sector and the private sector and nonprofits coming together saying, let's do something for Black businesses. And so that's something I put a lot of work into with a great advisory board, and I'm excited about opportunities to figure those places out in Detroit. Because again, that still matters. But at the end of the day, Memphis is a beautiful place. Like I said, it's still one of those things at home, and they have some amazing entrepreneurs here that are doing some great things.
Well, and then to come back with Build Institute as where you're going to land. So that, I mean, in terms of working with Black-owned businesses and the community, you know, and for those that aren't familiar with Build Institute, you know, I was lucky to be there, and, you know, and part of the organization when the very first Build class happened in 2012 as part of our DHive collaboration, and just seeing it grow over the years and see what April and team have been able to do, and the need for it, right? That's what drives any business, is the demand for the product, right? And there were the niche that Build was able to find and grow in that, was accessible, right? An 8-week class that was affordable for people to be able to attend. And I think the stats are over 2,000 people have graduated, majority women, majority people of color. I mean, and a whole bunch of other programs that they have launched too. Could you talk to us a little bit about Build and what you love about it and what you're kind of maybe excited to get to do while you're there?
Well, one, I thank you for that question. I am, April knows this, the board knows this, that I have been a longtime fan of Build Institute. Back in 2012, as you mentioned, I actually was at Vanguard CDC launching a small business incubator and founded the Detroit Entrepreneur Week. And that is when I met April. And she began to work with me in those efforts and just the quality. You talked about the classes. So the quality of service and the curriculum is really what has always made me see and value what Build Institute provided to entrepreneurs. Because I care about customer service, because I care about quality for those we serve. It had always been important to me in my role at Vanguard, but also at Tech Town and here, that whatever we do, it is of high quality and value to our entrepreneurs. And for every moment that they sit in the seat, they better walk away with what we said we were giving them. And so Build has always shown up in that way. To your point, there's over 2,000 graduates with 550 businesses that have been started, both from an e-commerce place, but also a lot of brick and mortar Build grads. There's been 1,000 jobs, right? And so, like I know, for me, this is really also about creating jobs for residents who are in the community, quite frankly. We know that people hire people who look like them. And to me, these businesses have always been very essential. And I think COVID is showing us that now, that our restaurants, our retail, our services are so important. And so I've always been a fan of Build. Every time, for like you said, Beehive, or when they were at Beehive, going over there and supporting that. And it's just been an amazing opportunity to be able to come back, one, and lead such a phenomenal organization. Build has been stellar for a long, long time. And there's no better way for me to be able to come back and be able to help support the legacy that April has built in a way that will meet what entrepreneurs need in the next 3 to 5 years. And so hearing their voices around what the challenges are, what are they looking to do? So for aspiring entrepreneurs and new entrepreneurs, I want to be able to help bring some energy, definitely bring some innovation. I am a risk taker to the opportunity with the team to do some things that are different, bigger, greater, even broader, based on the runway, the significant runway that Build has set here. And so who says no to Build, right? I mean, it's the perfect way, perfect opportunity for me to come back and continue this inclusive economic development work that I love. But as leading Build, it doesn't get any better than that.
And you get to come back to Detroit, right? Not just your home, but a place that you have such, deep affection for, as so many of us do. Can you talk about what some of the differences or what you're looking forward to in Detroit? I mean, now, they say that absence makes the heart grow fonder. So you've been away for a little bit, and there's probably some, really great things at Memphis that I'm sure you're going to miss there as well. But what are you most excited about to come back to in Detroit?
Well, my family and my friends. Literally, I've spent most of Detroit. My entire life has been in Detroit. So those relationships, those who know me, my North Stars, the community too, and particularly, I know we say the spirit of Detroit. Jeanette, you understand what that means. It's our soul, is who we are, and there's a spirit of Detroiters and, quite frankly, Michiganders who we have no matter where we go, that's absent in other places. It is a place Detroit is a place where it's welcoming and community. We're down to earth folks. We're also very direct and keep it real. So I'm looking forward to being loved and supported and also challenged by Detroiters who know me and know what makes sense. And so I'm looking forward to being back. What I'm going to say, Detroit is like being back home with an entire community of family that love and support me. And that love also means when there are things that I'm not doing best at, Detroit will also check me. And you know how that goes there. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about, we have one of the most beautiful riverfronts ever, hands down. And so I'm looking forward to getting back on that with my bike and walking. The DeQuinder Cut, just the different assets around Detroit as a city. I know they say New York is a brick city, but Detroit for me is also a brick city. And so I'm looking forward to getting back to that. The hustle and bustle as well. There's not a lot of hustle and bustle here in Memphis. And so I'm looking forward to getting back in that excited energy that people are living, working, and playing in. So family and friends, can't wait to see everybody.
Yeah, well, and there's more coming to the riverfront too. I mean, we've been doing a lot of these great virtual tours, and we partnered with the Riverfront Conservancy to do a past, present, future riverfront tour over the last few months. And the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Centennial Park that's coming to the West Riverfront in a couple of years is unparalleled. I mean, they're literally building a cove with a beach, and they're going to have so many assets there. And well, and when you're by the DeQuinder Cut, you could stop by and say hi to me, because that's, you know, right where I am by. And I've been on those all summer, especially with the pandemic and needing to get outside but still be safe. We're so lucky to have public spaces, and all throughout the city. I talked with Brad Dick from the city about on this Discuss Detroit series about the over 300 parks we have in Detroit, right? Everything from Rouge Park at 1,100 acres to tiny little neighborhood parks that are actually sometimes the most valuable, right? And they've invested a whole bunch of money in that lately. So I think you'll see that in the last 2 years, 9 months, we have had a lot of really great things happening that you'll get to experience, and then you're here for to help create what the next few years and then positive impact. We have Dan Pipchowski saying, "Welcome home, Regina."
Hey Dan, hey, how's it going? Look, he might be able to pull me back on their board, Leadership Detroit board.
There you go. Well, and Leadership 32, best class ever, right?
Well, I think Dan would agree that Leadership LD 37 was his favorite.
With entrepreneurship, sometimes when we're in Detroit, we're in the Detroit bubble. And I've noticed this as I work with people from around the country and the world that either come to Detroit to learn from us about entrepreneurship, and that's what City Institute's all about, or just are inspired by our entrepreneurs in the city. But now you've had a different perspective, right? So could you, what are some differences or similarities between kind of the entrepreneurial ecosystem, or even just entrepreneurial vibe, maybe between Detroit and Memphis? Or maybe the better question is, have you had any like epiphanies, like, oh, wow, like this happens everywhere, or wow, no, this is actually that was unique to Detroit or unique to Memphis?
So I will say from an entrepreneurship perspective, particularly place-based, Black entrepreneurs, women, community entrepreneurs, I know that best. There's a lot of similarities in regards to the challenges and pain points and access to resources. Detroit is many light years ahead. In Memphis, there were significant gaps of capital. So Epicenter was able to support and create some local funds. And so I'm excited about local funds. I'm all in favor of national, hey, let's have a nation of entrepreneurs try to get this sort of piece of the pie, a piece of, that capital into their company. But I'm also a big fan of local, because we know that money that is put in that fund for those entrepreneurs, they can access it. So we did a lot of that in Memphis, creating opportunities for local residents, local entrepreneurs to make businesses and get money. That's different here. I also think what's different here, to my experiences, is in Memphis, like most places, there's what's considered innovation, and there are these investment clubs who invest particularly in high growth companies, and they define innovation in a different way. In Detroit, we've always defined innovation, not just high growth and not just tech. So here we literally would do monthly angel dinners. When I say we, Epicenter hosts monthly angel dinners, bring the investor and bring these entrepreneurs in a room that ordinarily didn't look like the typical entrepreneur. So we were bringing in these creative entrepreneurs, these entrepreneurs who were musicians. We were bringing in these service-based entrepreneurs. And they looked very much like me and you, women, Black women, minority. And so helping change the behavior and culture of how people see things was really what we did a lot here. Now, on the Detroit side, I feel like there's more that can be done in that space around what is investable. People like to say, who's investable? There's more that can be done there. And it's a mindset on how we create the opportunity, and we sat creating opportunities here for those catalytic opportunities and exchanges to happen. And there's one particular business owner here, Med Hall, Erica Plivier, who's a Black woman who launched a platform to help transport residents to hospitals. That's continued to grow. There was a lot of work that had to be done around getting investors to invest locally. But after that was done, she began to start getting national investments. So she was able to complete her seed round. And that's the exciting type of work that I want, and that I know some things are happening actually in Detroit, because I saw Marlo Renter doing some things with a new opportunity with tech and capital. I was really excited about that because I hadn't seen that in Detroit, sort of focused on Black, and that's great. I will say one observation, and I said this back in June of last year when I came home for the Detroit Revitalization Reunion. In Memphis, when I got here, people were not going to do business with me until they knew who I was. Memphis is a place that is not transactional. They are about building relationships, and you can see those relationships across race, across religion, because this is the Bible Belt. Across ages, so that when things are happening in Memphis, it's not a two Memphises here. They'll hurt if I hurt because we built the relationship first. In Michigan, I said this in June when I was with the Detroit Revitalization Fellows, many things are so transactional, which is why, from my perspective, you have those two Detroits. I hope that I can come in and help build relationships, help people understand the importance of building relationships. And the work sustains itself when you have relationships. We see, just like in Detroit, social enterprises are starting to bubble back up, particularly because Black people want to help solve social challenges in community. And so social enterprises, I foresee we'll do more in that space, and Build, I'm hoping that we can help in that more, because Build was the first nonprofit organization to start doing Build Social, which helps launch social enterprises. So more there, Jeanette, I think will be very great. And two, expanding the youth. When I say youth, I'm sort of talking about, you're never too young to be an entrepreneur, but those 17 to in their 20s, helping them come forward with their ideas, helping them build their ideas and invest in those ideas if they're good for the marketplace. Why not? But they're like sister cities. I think if you go to, the culture might be different, but people, when you talk about sort of, talking to, people here, if I'm talking to a Black woman here, it's like, oh, well, somebody who reminds me of somebody in Detroit. The culture is mellow, it's slow, it's very diverse here, which is also a different thing to me, to be walking in spaces where you see a variety of people. I have my sons who often say, who are teenagers, they love diversity. And I'm glad they do, because I love diversity. And so the dynamics that have hit us with COVID are the same for Black businesses in Detroit as it is in Memphis. And I've seen Detroit leaning into solve for those, and we've been leaning into solve for those. I think business is same as far as challenges and needs for our Black businesses and community-based businesses. The culture is very different. Again, from my perspective, Michigan, we've been very transactional in Michigan. Here, it's really relationships, diverse relationships to get business done.
And I mean, we've been able to build relationships because you are a great relationship builder. And I think it's really interesting to hear because I feel like a lot of things are built on relationships here, but when you see it in another place, and I haven't been in Memphis to hear that that it is less transactional there, and hopefully those are some of those barriers that you can work towards breaking down. And with all the services that Build Institute has, and April's joining in on Facebook to say hi, welcome.
Hey, April.
And of course, she's been nose to the grindstone doing so much awesome work over these years, and just some of the programs too. Like, I don't know if people even realize how many programs that Build Institute kind of became one of the hubs of lots of entrepreneurial programs. Like you were talking about funding, so Kiva, right, is something that is now part of Build. Or when Detroit Soup needed a spot to go, everyone's like, oh well, Build Institute, it makes sense for that. So that's Kiva, Build, their Soup, the classes. What else? Are there other things I'm missing?
Well, I'm going to say the alumni are amazing, and I've always so the marketing and press support for Build Alum, hands down, is the best ever. I mean, in my work and in Detroit, I would always say start with Build. Just because they were going to get the best quality curriculum support in order to be prepared for the next. And our next, as you know, at Tech Town was SWAT City and Retail Boot Camp. And so the marketing that they would get, constantly lifting them up so people knew who they were, what they sold, and so people could become customers. That's a value add that I would talk about to folks when they started with Build that's oftentimes not mentioned. One of the things that I asked the team and the board, I'm like, who does Build's marketing? Because I always wanted to know, like, who does their marketing? I see all these entrepreneurs, and they were saying Jacquees had a lot to do with that, and then Evan was also helping support that. And so starting with Build really sets entrepreneurs on a really great path. And I'm looking to do more with the alumni. Like, where are they now? What are they looking to scale and do and pivot and grow in ways that are long past the idea, but they're at a certain stage in their business. So that'll be exciting.
Well, and you mentioned Tech Town, where you were at before you left for Memphis. And I think one of the things that feedback I get from people from other places is that the collaboration that we have between different organizations that work in the entrepreneurial space, right? So it is really common to maybe start with Build and then go to SWAT City or do a program with Tech Town and work together. So that you've been within Tech Town and now Build Institute. So is that an exciting opportunity to kind of be able to do even more collaboration between those two great organizations?
Of course, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to your point, the transition and the handoff to entrepreneurs that we care about. Has a lot to do, of course, NEI bringing us all together to understand what everybody did in very unique, specialized ways, and with care, making sure the entrepreneurs aren't being referred to the right next step for whatever the challenge or roadblock might be. I'm looking forward to working with Amy Brencher. I know she's over there as the managing director. I'm sure I will interface and work with our team. We'll work with her. Prosper Us, they're doing some really cool things. I see that they're spinning out on their own, and that's exciting. And so, yes, I'm looking forward to us all working together as we figure out what is this post sort of COVID, this next experience for entrepreneurs of tomorrow. And where we are seated now, it's all been great, but it requires a different version of us. So I'm excited about doing that work with, Tech Town and many of the others who are in the ecosystem.
Okay, one question I didn't even prep you for, but I like to ask people about if you had a magic wand and you could just, or snap your fingers, wave your wand and fix a major challenge or remove a major barrier to entrepreneurs in Detroit, with just magically make it happen. What would be one of those barriers or challenges that you would love to see disappear?
Oh, wait, there you go. That's a big, huge question.
Yeah.
That would have been nice to have been able to think about it, but
I know.
I could answer it in a couple ways. Oh, wow. Because to me, a lot of sort of the challenges that we experience have a lot to do with systems. Built systems, missing systems, and gaps. So for the entrepreneur, if I had a magic wand, I could imagine sort of, we have Build being the place that they come in with their idea. We have everything that they need from funding to technical to get started. And those that want to continue in that middle stage or the second stage, in this Detroit, we have everything that they need. It's not a challenge to get capital because you're a creative. It's not a challenge to get a capital because you're a musician. There is capital available and resource available for any type of business that we know today, and it's going to come tomorrow. So you're not walking against a barrier. You're not getting frustrated because nobody gets or understands it. So that second stage, and at the end, as they grow, I would love to be able to make that wand where these entrepreneurs have hired and people are employed in our local economy. That would make me excited because this work, particularly for me, and what made me excited about the work when I say this work, economic development, entrepreneurship. I believe then and I believe now that is our local entrepreneurs, our micro businesses that are hiring people. And that helps stimulate our economies in the community. It makes it quality. It helps with community rebuilding. If you think about that coffee shop that you would go into, you start seeing your neighbors and people who come and visit. That is where community rebuilding really happens. It happens in those places, those corridors in our neighborhoods when people are out shopping and spending money. And I want to see a revitalized Detroit in that way, where everybody feels welcomed, that they're going to a store where there's local entrepreneurs having their new products. So a wand that would help anybody who has an idea and want to do a business, resources that get them there, particularly capital. It's not a challenge to get capital to do these great things. People don't have to sell their firstborn, to get these same things. And people have jobs. That was a tough question, Jeanette.
That's a great answer, though.
I haven't had to answer that one.
That's part of the entrepreneurial thinking, just on your feet and everything. But absolutely. I mean, this image of when you were talking about the gaps and waving the wand to get rid of some of these gaps, it made me think of like American Ninja Warrior. That shouldn't be entrepreneurship. Shouldn't be like jumping, having to leap over this thing and hold on, and that's what a lot of entrepreneurship is. But it should be simpler. It should be more like a ladder where there's a step by step by step. And that's where where Build has so many of those rungs, at Build, and other rungs at Tech Town and Prosperous and these other, but there's still those gaps, right? So it's even though, and this is, I think, in general with Detroit, we take steps and we've come, we've made progress, but there's still so much work to be done.
And so to your point, based on what we know, all that you and I have been talking about and we laid out, what we know about Detroit's ecosystem, the amazing partners, amazing organizations, based on all that we know, that is a bench of thought leadership, a resource. We need to do better, right? It's like once your eyes are open to things and opportunities, and we've had some learnings, go hard or go home. And so Detroit, our ecosystem has the ability to set the stage and do things bigger. You said it earlier, everybody comes to Detroit. What is going on here? What are you doing? How did you do it? What did you learn? It's time for us to step it up further and further and innovate in ways that have not been done yet in place. And we can do that. And I've always been one, mediocrity is not something that I care for or am about. I'm about excellence. I'm about what can we do? And quite frankly, what is not so obvious? What are we missing? And how do we know what we're missing is by listening to the voices of the entrepreneurs and those who, quite frankly, have the ideas that can sit and solve what the future needs. And so we know more, Jeanette. We're too smart not to do greater things here. And so I'm excited about an opportunity to do bigger, bolder, greater things.
Yeah, and push people, right? That's where I'm excited to see you do that too. So what would you push people to do? What's your call to action? What do you, people listening, watching, how can they help you, Build Institute, entrepreneurs, whatever, if you get them moving, what would you want them to do?
So a few things. One, it is always important, and I practice this, listen. Actively listen. There's a such thing, and I don't believe that everybody understands that. Hear what the people are saying. Make no assumptions. First hear. Sit down in conversations to hear and listen, right? But also, you know, like I know in this nonprofit world, is forever fundraising. At the end of the day, support and continue to invest, which funders have been doing. So I'm really grateful for that. Keep doing that along this way. Because of COVID and the pandemic and the civil unrest that's been happening, we need now more than ever for the same level of resource to be expended into our organizations so that we can do this bigger and greater thing. So funding is going to always be key in this nonprofit sector. We know that.
Individuals can go to Build Institute's page and donate. We'll put that link up too. So
okay, thank you, because I was going to say that at the end. I was going to tell, but definitely make donations, individual donations to Build, because in order for us to do this work, we need continued resource and investment. Build has a great team. I'm going to be hiring for some certain skill sets to help all of us move this forward. So the brightest and the best. We have to continue as a community in Detroit. You know, Michigan is still said to be the most segregated in the country. And, you know, that ain't a title I'm proud of. You know, people would say, oh, you're in Memphis. I'm like, Memphis is a different experience. We've got to do better across our ethnicities in Detroit and in the region to do more to support business. There's too much competition out here. We can be a strong region. So the racism and issues there, we can't act like they're not there because they're there. But again, relationships and conversations, being able to have tough conversations, we'll get to the other side. So I hope to be able to encourage people to actually listen to hear, put egos outside of the room, Jeanette, because that's the biggest thing in our work, or the nonprofit or the public or private sector. People are bringing their egos in the room. I will do what I have come to do and what Leslie's thing had always been. This is my glass, but whoever is in the center of the room, it is always the entrepreneur. And if it ain't about the business of the entrepreneur, we as a system should not have time for it. Keep your egos at the door. So my thing is to continue to bring this entrepreneur back in the room. And what are we doing? What is this resource about? And encourage us to focus in that way to drive opportunities, to build new opportunities, to strengthen what we already have been doing in ways that it's going to be some uncomfortable conversations, and that's okay too. But I think we have to be real in our path forward and how people are seeing, you know, this community or the two Detroits, quite frankly. And I think when we can acknowledge that and people not personalize it, we can get to the business of serving our entrepreneur. So I'm good at coming in a room. It ain't about Regina. None of this has ever been about me. I really have been fortunate and blessed to do this work, but it's always a team effort. It's a team sport. So we need everybody to you know, work toward a common goal and value to support our entrepreneurs moving forward. Nothing more, nothing less.
It's amazing. And we just did a virtual tour around entrepreneurial ecosystem and the amazing small businesses that we have, and supporting them, so also the individuals, right? This is a great time to shop local, as you kind of mentioned earlier, is support local businesses throughout the holidays. There's all sorts of events that people can find out. We have some virtual and maybe in person, depending on what's going on, shop related and small business related tours, I'm always just amazed by the stories of the nonprofit, of the small businesses. Every business has a story and cares more about the community. It's not just about the bottom line. And I think that's also what is Build Institute has really brought people together throughout the years and given them those resources and strengthen their community. And I'm so excited for what you are going to be able to build on the already awesome foundation that April started. So also I will give help people to like Build Institute on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, all of those things. And again, we'll post some of that stuff. Also, you can follow us at Detroit Experience Factory and City Institute. And check out some of these virtual tours. And to your point about, systemic racism has impacted Detroit and the country, obviously. We have been, and continues to do today. So we have been doing a lot of education, especially in recent months. It's something that's always been important to us, but the demand, I would say, has been up in recent months. So we actually have a series called A Short History of Racism in Detroit, so people can understand the history and the challenges, so that they're better equipped to actually make changes today to those things. So if people want to find out more about that, I think it can really help you understand some of those systemic challenges that people are still facing today in Detroit. So well, I am so excited. Thank you again for joining us, and I can't wait till it's you're here in person and we can actually see each other in person and have some of that good tequila together and let us know, obviously, anything that we can do to make your homecoming as comfortable and great as possible, and the transition with Build Institute too. We're obviously a huge supporter, and Detroit is lucky to have you and to have Build Institute.
Thank you so much, Jeanette, for this opportunity. I know you love Build. I love Build. We all love Build. And so I'm excited to come back and help serve the community in this capacity. So like Build, donate to Build, lift Build, buy and shop this holiday season from our local entrepreneurs. Please, please, please.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Regina. You have a great weekend, okay?
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.